For the next half hour, we're going to celebrate the work of some up-and-coming scholars who are engaged in the work of applying behavioural insights to the development of public policy. Before I proceed further, I'd like to thank CommBank, Beta and the judging panel for their contribution to these awards. The CommBank Rising Star Award for Financial Wellbeing, the judging panel for that award, was Will Mailer, Dilip Soman and Bob Slonim. And the judging panel for the Beta Rising Star Awards was Dilip Soman, Tala Oliver, and Bob Slonim. So I'd now like to invite Will Mailer from the CBA to come to the lectern and provide an overview of the CommBank Rising Star Award. Thanks, Will.
Well, with a mission to improve the financial well-being of customers and communities, the Commonwealth Bank is very proud to sponsor this fantastic and important award. Firstly, I'd like to thank Beta and the Behavioural Exchange Conference for this fantastic event. It's great to have BX back in Sydney. And I'd also like to thank my fellow judges, Dilip and Bob. Financial decision-making and financial behaviour can have disproportionate impact on our health, wealth and happiness. And clearly many challenges still remain both in Australia and internationally. So this is a very timely and important award, and we welcome great emerging research talent in this space. And CBA is certainly open to collaborate with emerging researchers and communities and government to improve the financial well-being of Australians and internationally as well. So I'd also like to thank the amazing talent that submitted their work for this award. It was a very difficult choice. There's a lot of great work and we thank you for participating, but unfortunately there can be only one winner, and it is my great pleasure from Monash University to congratulate Christian Retaro. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you very much for coming here tonight and celebrate the receipt of this award. I would like to thank CommBank for presenting me with this excellent award. It's a great opportunity for me to share my research with a wider community and advance it further and get feedback, obviously. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the research that I was awarded for. But before doing that, I would like to thank my co-authors, Peter Basarets and Nitin Yadav from Brain, Mind and Markets Laboratory, University of Melbourne, and Petko Kalev from La Trobe Business School. I would also like to thank Monash Business School and specifically Monash Business Behavioural Laboratory, where this research was conducted. So this research was motivated by the large body of literature and evidence showing that decision makers, no matter how experienced they are prone to this effect, this cognitive bias, which is known as disposition effect. Disposition effect is the tendency to sell the winning securities too early and hold on to the losing ones for too long. So what we did in our study, we decided to adopt what we call a bias-centric approach towards designing an intervention strategy that would focus on what we believe might be a cause of disposition effect, or at least one of the causes. And this cause is associated with fixating on one's past, which is manifested through the fixation on the purchasing price. Purchasing price after buying a security is not that relevant compared to the current market position. So in order to reorient the decision makers, we suggested to design an intervention strategy based on a higher level cognitive skill known as theory of mind. Theory of mind is a cognitive skill associated with the ability to understand others better, or in other words, to step into other people's shoes. So as part of our intervention strategy, we ask the decision makers to first trade on their own and then trade for others, and then trade both for their own, on their own and for others, and then come back and trade for themselves. And we ran a test-retest, or we conducted a test-retest design, so we repeated this experiment in 2 weeks' time. We also use a novel set of neurocognitive batteries measuring theory of mind, which allows to separate the cognitive part, or the social cognition part of theory of mind, and the affective part. So what we found is that those decision makers who actually had a higher level social cognition could learn throughout the intervention, and that effect remained stable in the retest phase, whereas others who didn't have such a high level of theory of mind did not learn that well. So this study shows that theory of mind can be used for designing intervention strategies to address cognitive biases such as disposition effect, and that's what we are planning to work on in the future. Thank you very much again for coming here and for supporting me tonight. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Will, and congratulations, Christian, on some excellent research. I'd now like to invite Dilip Soman to the stage to discuss the BETA Rising Star Awards. Dilip.
The BETA Rising Star Award for policy-related research in applied behavioral science is awarded to a young scholar, a PhD student, or a recent graduate, whose work has shown significant implications for the design, delivery, and measurement of government policies and programs. This year, we received a total of 35 applications for the award. And the applications took the form of a detailed abstract, a summary of past research, and a statement of contribution. The three judges used three criteria for deciding on who the winner of the award was: academic excellence, publication record, and policy implications of the proposed research. Now, as you can imagine, three people with three criteria, each one of us interpreted the criteria differently. So we actually had 9 criteria that we worked with, and we ruthlessly applied those 9 criteria to the list of 35, and we were able to narrow down to 6 people. And then, of course, Tara said, you can't have 6 winners. Luckily for us, one of the 6 kind of stood out relative to the other 5, but we thought that the other 5 were good enough that they could have won awards had it not been for the 6th person. So as a group, we decided to nominate 5 people to what we call highly commended candidates. And the list of those 5, I'm going to read it out, and it's up there. David Hagman from Carnegie Mellon University, Azhar Hussain Potiar from the Queensland University of Technology, Ashley Willens from Harvard, Oliver Hauser from Harvard, and Grant Donnelly from Harvard. Sounds like a good school, this Harvard thing. Right? Is any one of you in the audience here today? Nope. All right. So these are all amazing researchers. They've done some interesting work, good, solid publication records. So you can only imagine that the 6th person, the one who has gone on to win the award, is even more accomplished than all of these. The research that won the award talks about an interesting phenomena called active ignorance of information. The idea that people choose to ignore information that could help them because it is negative emotionally in some way. And the winner of the award from Fordham University is Emily Ho.
Hi, BX attendees. I'm really honored to accept this award, and I'd like to thank BX and the BETA team for making it happen and having me here. Broadly defined, my research is on identifying policy issues and helping find solutions in a rigorous and evidence-based way, touching upon the fields of consumer finance, health, intelligence analysis, and climate change. For example, in a study on informational disclosures, I find that the same people who don't check their bank balance and avoid financial information might be the same people who seek information about their health by going to their doctors for annual checkups. With colleagues from Carnegie Mellon, I develop a scalable method that measures this previously unexplored aspect of human behavior, and I do so amongst multiple contexts. So this has huge implications for how local and national governments might think about designing and personalizing interventions in the field of health screenings or financial disclosures. In the fields of climate change and intelligence analysis, it turns out that laymen and experts alike have trouble communicating to each other about uncertain but high-stakes outcomes, such as what the sea level rise is going to be in 50 years. My study tests and validates new guidelines that help make this process more efficient. And the hope is that this can improve communication between, say, scientists and policymakers, or policymakers and the public. My findings identifies issues in policy and then proposes solutions that have been both empirically tested and empirically validated. But perhaps most importantly, they're easily scalable and can be implemented in a wide variety of contexts. Looking ahead, I'm studying people who are really good at predicting the future and seeing if we can harness those qualities to pre-identify the experts amongst us. Using a mix of quantitative and behavioral techniques, I'm hoping to be able to crowdsource predictive analytics from just about anyone. Finally, I'd like to thank my collaborators, in particular, my advisor, David Badescu, and my colleagues, George Lowenstein, Mandeep Dhami, David Mendel, and David Hagman. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dilip. And again, congratulations, Emily, on some really interesting research. Cass, you mentioned before that you were inspired by some of the work that was happening, but I think just hearing those two quick examples of some up-and-coming rising stars, I feel a bit inspired about what the future might hold for this sector, so thanks again. So we are now at the end of day one of BX 2018. I hope you, like me, have had a really terrific day and feel enriched by the conversations we've all had. Thanks very much, everyone.